Forged of steel, grafted from Umbra's flesh, this elegant Nikana unites its Warframe to a form of single being of seething purpose. The Skiajati is Umbra's signature Nikana, and this thing has some major good points and some major down points. Visually, however, has got to be one of its best. It is one of the nicest looking, cleanest looking Nikanas out there because it just kind of blends so well with its sheath. It really does look nice. The name has something to do with darkness. I don't know what that is. I think it's called this so it lines up with the scanner. It will be in the queue of weapons right after the scanner because it goes scanner, Skiajati. That's because I named something differently in Silver and Ages. That could be part of it. Who knows? But to settle the quick question, is it better than the Dragon Nikana? Not really. Same crit chance. A little bit faster. Yeah, apart from status, the Dragon's actually better. It is, of course, way better than the normal Nikana, which is why I start with the Dragon. It's the upgraded version. But is it better than the Nikana Prime? The Skiajati has 5% less crit chance, 0.1% less crit multiplier, but it does have that extra bit of status. So if you look at this as more of a status-based version, then yeah, okay, the damage, it has less slash, but it has more impact, more puncture, rounding it off for a better rounded melee weapon. But crit-wise, the Nikana will always win. But this has attack speed on its side. Depending, of course, on which stance you put in there. If you put Blind Justice, Decisive Judgment, or Tranquil Cleave in there. And it's very weird. You can kind of build it for crit because you have the sacrificial mods, which, yeah, let's not talk about those. We don't know what they have in plan for sacrificial mods. And remember that if you polarize that polarity off, you can't polarize it back on. At the moment, they may make it so you can in the future, but for now, apparently you can't format that polarity back onto any weapon. Sacrificial Pressure Point, it is just called Sacrificial Pressure, first off. It doesn't do as much damage as Primed Pressure Point does, so swapping that for that might work out better in the long run, but crit building this, it'll only go to a 28.5% crit build, which isn't that much considering it has a 27% status chance. Whereas if you throw a status based thing, all 4 of the dual stat elemental mods, I think this is currently Viral and Radiation, you can swap them in any order you want to get the different combos. I usually run nearly that way around, so it's Blast and Corrosive, but it's this way on for now, with Condition Overload and Body Count for increasing the combo duration so that doesn't go off as easily. It actually becomes really impressive because of the status. If you look at this as more of a status based melee weapon, remembering that sadly the only way to get a hold of this is by actually doing the sacrifice quest, which I'm avoiding all spoilers and everything else for, apart from the weapon itself and Umbra himself. You get it when you build Umbra. You get it with a catalyst in it. You get it already max level. You can form it. I threw 3 on mine. It's an okay weapon. The attack speed made up for it a lot. Like, just an insane amount. And a lot of people will notice the difference between the status build I had on there and the crit. That's because I do have a crit build on this. I just have them backwards. The crit is in the A with the status in the B. So every time I equip this thing, I have to swap to config B. Otherwise, I'm running crit. And yeah, it's not actually that good on the crit side of it. You will also notice that Sacrificial Steel was still in there, because it did add a little bit of crit chance, whereas Sacrificial Pressure, yes, they work really well together. They do increase the whole bonus that they give each other by quite a bit. I mean, mine isn't maxed, and it's the 27% damage to sentience on both that makes these much better than if you are just running one by itself, which is still 27, but obviously it's not 27 doubled. It does increase it, but sacrificial pressure should, when maxed, have gone to the same point as primed pressure point, which is 165% melee damage. If it was 160% melee damage from sacrificial pressure, I would have left that in there, not a problem. It's the lack of melee damage that it has. Makes this thing perfect, however, for taking on the actual sentience. This thing is an entirely different weapon. It just works so much better against them than pretty much everything else, which is kind of the point of the sacrificial mods. Hence the only reason I left sacrificial steel on, but I did leave both the polarities there just in case, because you can't polarize them back on. If they allow you to polarize them on, I would dump both of them pretty quickly and build this thing completely differently. Don't really see why they wouldn't allow you to polarize this on, so you can use these on other weapons. Obviously they are aiming for people will only be using the, and I keep forgetting how this is supposed to be pronounced, the Skiajati, only against the sentience, and they'll be using everything else everywhere else. It would be nice to put these on something else. Maybe that will come in the future, as I mentioned earlier, with the sacrificial mods. Don't know where they're going with these or the umbral mods. There may be more in the future, because they did say that the whole umbra thing might be a recurring thing. There may be other umbra types like primes, vandals and wraiths. But anyway, we'll leave this off here for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch yous next time.